Let's just face it. Sometimes, you just don't feel like doing anything. Sometimes you just don't feel like doing it. You know what I mean? How often do you just go through life and you just don't know, right? You're just like, okay, what's going on? You're giving all your time. You don't feel like dealing with work. You don't feel like dealing with, your kids. You don't feel like dealing with your husband. Heck, you don't even feel like dealing with life. What are you supposed to do? How do you get past that? I mean, sometimes you don't feel like doing some things, and sometimes you don't feel like getting up and going to work, but it's okay because you can think greater than you feel. And that's the miracle of life, is that you don't have to stay in the particular moment that you're in. You can think greater than this moment. Sometimes you don't feel like doing anything. Sometimes life does feel like it's a lot, right? But here's what we do know. There is something that life hasn't given you, and that's future. That's the rest of your life. It cannot be told in this present moment, can it? The rest of your life cannot be summed up in this present moment. It cannot be defined by a single blimp in the stratosphere called a situation or a problem that you may feel that evolves in your life. You can think greater than you feel, but you've got to practice, right? How do I do that, Gerald? How do I think? How do I think greater than I feel, right? Well, because I'm gonna, instead of giving myself an imaginary horror story, right? Because that's what the mind does, right? The mind has the ability, it's like the theater, right? We can rehearse these traumatic events in our minds, or we can give ourselves the experience of a wonderful future, right? Thinking greater than you feel. I can think and give myself a specific thought. You can give yourself a thought. You can give yourself a future greater than how you feel in this particular moment. I guarantee you right now, if you think about happiness, you think about bliss, you think about having that child, walking down the aisle, getting with your wife, getting the promotion, living in the neighborhood. If you can think about that, something happens inside of your emotions. Something's activated inside of you that says, oh my God, wait a minute. What if it is possible? What if the way that I feel is not even a barometer, not even a speck on what's possible, right? Once I start to imagine a different life, then different emotions start to come up. Different things get to evoke inside of me. It's not the same old emotions. It's not the same feelings, the same dramatic moments. No, I'm thinking greater than how I feel. And how do I do that? I'm giving myself new experiences, new moments, new ideas of clarity by being conscious, being aware, right? I'm being the steward. I'm being the confidant of my own life and making sure that the thoughts that I'm thinking are they're in congruence. They're in alignment with what I really want, right? So thinking greater than you feel is not some idea. No, it's a way of being. It's something that you can access, right? It's not just something that's left for the spiritual people. It's left for all people, right? I think that a lot of times we get trapped into thinking that the way I feel is how it is. It's like, no, the way you feel is not how it is. The way you feel is how you perceive this present moment. What if everything was really revolving around the way you perceive this present moment? What if everything in your life is wrapped up in the framework? What do I mean, the framework? The way that you see things. One of the things that I hear a lot when I coach people, I ask people, what did you get most out of this coaching session? And one of the things I hear more so than ever is that, you know what, Gerald, you really gave me a really different look on this. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? Expand on that. What do you mean? Well, I really never saw it this particular way. But when you put it that way, it made me look at it in a completely different way. And how many things in your life right now, if you would just reframe them, if you could just reimagine the way you're looking at your life, where it could be, what it could create for you, what emotions it could evoke, how it could have you feeling. So in order to think greater than how you feel, right? Those are some ways you could do that. You could be like, okay, wait a minute. How can I tap into this deeper set of emotions? Well, it's what I'm practicing, right? What fires together, wires together. If I'm constantly thinking about thoughts that are bringing me happiness and joy, what do you think's going to happen? I'm going to start feeling that. But it's me being consciously aware of my thoughts, me being aware of my presence, me being aware and making sure, this is really good here, making sure that throughout the day, my mind isn't running away from me, right? Sometimes our minds get so busy. I know early in meditation today, if I skip a day of meditation, oh my God, like my mind just goes, like when I sit down the next day without, if I didn't meditate, my mind just feels like it feels like something took over my mind and just like gives me a bunch of stuff. And this is coming from someone who practices. And again, I'm still practicing. Doctors practice medicine, lawyers practice law. Spiritual practices are spiritual practices. It's not something that you arrive to. It's something that you work on daily. I work on daily being a really amazing human being and being able to contribute to society, right? I'm thinking about that. Do you think I feel like that every day? No, right? And this is these practices, right? In order to tap into this ability to be able to think greater than you feel. How do you do that? Well, I'm being aware of what I'm thinking about. I'm being conscious of what I'm thinking about, so that way I feel great about what I'm doing. Can you imagine this? Imagine going throughout your day not knowing what you're thinking about and then wondering why you feel crappy, right? I always ask myself, if my day starts to go loopy, when did I go unconscious? When did I step away from the driver's seat of my awareness? When was that moment? I always go back. Was it a phone call? Who was it? Who was it that I allowed to shift my state of consciousness to be unaware, to where now I'm derailed? I'm thinking and going places mentally, emotionally, spiritually that I wasn't even thinking about before that conversation. But guess what? It wasn't that person. It was me. I slipped into unawareness. I slipped into unconsciousness, right? I wasn't aware of what was happening during that conversation. I was just floating in that moment. And how often are we just floating through life, not knowing? Every time I talk to this guy, this girl, every time I go to this place, this is how it makes me feel. I'm uncomfortable. It gives me anxiety. And you wonder why your day starts to curve off and go a completely different way, right? You have to be aware of what you're thinking so you can make sure that you're going to be feeling the right way, right? And how you're thinking is always predicated on what's going on around you, right? People, places, and things affect how you feel, and it makes you think differently, right, throughout your day. So being able to think greater than you feel is also subsequent on where you go, who you're around. It's not just you, it's your environment. It's everything, right? Because it's one thing to feel like, oh my God, I have to take all the blame. No, absolutely not. You don't have to take all the blame because it's not completely up to you, right? It's always universal. It's not, someone, I think Sadhguru says, if everything goes, your way, then what happens to the rest of us, right? So there has to be that ebb and flow. So in this episode today, I hope you realize that being able to think greater than you feel, being able to tap into a part of yourself that you weren't even aware of because you're feeling sad. Gerald, every day I get up to go to the gym, I don't feel like it, but I think about how good it makes me feel. I think about how great I look. I think about how I get to spend more time with my kids and my wife and be available physically. I think about that. I'm thinking greater than what I feel in that moment. I take cold showers every day. You know what? I don't feel like doing that ever. ever. I tell people, and I don't go from hot to cold, jump right in. I don't feel like doing that. But I'm thinking greater than I feel. I think that I'm about to get in the shower, even though I don't feel like it. I'm thinking greater than I feel. And that's possible. I don't feel like making a podcast episode. Guess what? I think it's a good idea. I think people need to hear what I have to say. I think people want to be motivated, inspired, pushed, encouraged. I think that's what people want, right? So knowing that sometimes your experiences are going to not allow you to want to do things, and you're going to have to think greater than how you feel. I'm going to say that again. There's going to be moments in your life that you're going to be coming up against that you emotionally feel like it's over. You emotionally feel like I don't have anything else. But if you could just think about the goodness of God, if you could just think about how you've overcome things worse than this, if you could just think about how strong you really are, how you feel won't even matter. Like, share, and follow, subscribe on this podcast, because this is the stuff you need to listen to. These are the inspirational moments. This is why listening, following, sharing, subscribing information like this to yourself, this is allowing you to think. This is allowing you to think, oh, wow, it is possible. Yes. Even though I don't feel like it, Joe, it's possible. Yes. Even though I don't feel like it's going to work out. Yes. Start thinking about the goodness of God. Start thinking about the great things that have happened to you. And I guarantee you'll feel better. Think about how good your life is. Think about how good God and the universe has been to you. And I guarantee you're going to feel better. You've got to start thinking greater than you feel. Can your thoughts go above your situation? Gerald, I feel like it's over. Or do you think it's over? I feel like this could be it. But is it? It's all about the framework. Am I thinking greater than I feel? How am I looking at this? Right? How am I framing this situation? Because that's going to decide how I approach this, how I feel about it, how I look at it, how I think about this decides how I feel about it. If I get up and go to work every day and I think this sucks, guess what? I'm going to feel really bad about going to work every day, aren't I? Absolutely. But what if I think about my job or my opportunity to give back in the world? What if I think, oh my God, this is the best thing that I have right now to take care of my family and get me to the next level. I'm so grateful for this job. I'm so grateful for this car. I'm so grateful for my apartment, my home. Just rethinking greater than how you feel about the situation. I know you feel like it could be better, but think about how good it is. I know you feel like you could have had something better, but think about how good this is. We're steady focused on what's not in front of you and not realizing I should feel great about what I do have. I should think highly of what I do have. I should think great things about myself right now. Not later, but today. You don't need to have anything to be somebody. Too many people are thinking in their minds, right? In order for me to feel like I am, I need to have. No, you are not your things, right? Thinking greater than you feel. You're not your things. Your ability to be a greater being is so much greater than anything you could ever achieve, accomplish, or have. Just you. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine finding out that, yes, all the learning's great. Imagine finding out that, yes, all the accolades and the trophies and all this is great. But I'm greater than all of that. Because I'm thinking greater than I feel. Right? So I hope this added value to you guys. Continue to like, share, follow the podcast. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, which is really awesome as well. And so excited to continue to share this message with you guys. Until next time, I will see you guys. And remember that you can always think greater than how you feel. Namaste. Until next time. Thank you guys.